Hi everyone, welcome again to Previews. We are in a new location with a new cast and a new director. So we're going to do like we always do. We're going to have them introduce themselves, tell what they're doing in this production and what the production is called and where we are. So we're going to start all the way down on the opposite end.
Hi, I'm Lucy Jane Atkinson and I'm the director of INU for Burning Coal Theatre Company.
Okay. Oh, you said that. I have an accent, she doesn't, so it's hard for me to understand what she's saying sometimes. Okay, go ahead. Yes.
I'm Jari Jama. I play Anthony in Burning Coal's INU, and I'm very happy to be here.
I'm Laura Lillian. I don't know which camera to look at. I'm playing that one. Okay, I'm playing Caroline in Burning Coal's INU, and yes.
Wow. Okay, so I'm going to start with the director. Thank God.
Good idea.
Yes, very good idea.
Oh, you love me.
So, yeah, okay. Let me ask you, first of all, where do you live?
I live in England, so I was living in London and now I live on the south coast in a small town called Shoreham by Sea.
Okay. So what brought you to this country for this production?
So last year Burning Coal did a production of a show called 100 Words for Snow that Laura Lillian was in, and I did the world premiere of that show, so I developed it from kind of first idea with the writer up to world premiere performance. And when they were doing it last year, they asked me to come on an episode of the podcast that they do, which is called Into the Fire? Something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that.
Yeah. So I had a conversation with Jerry about the original conception of that show, and at the end of it, because I'm pushy, I kind of joked, if you ever need a director, then give me a call. And he said yes. And then we threw some scripts at each other for a couple of months, and eventually he sent me this one, and I fell in love with it, and we decided to do the show.
Something she just said, if you know Jerry Davis like we know Jerry Davis, when you say if you have, be careful when you say Jerry Davis. Because it'll be 6 months later and he will come up and you'll be like, oh, you took me seriously.
Yeah,
okay.
He'll fly you across an ocean.
Yes.
He'll do it.
He really will. So yeah, that one, yeah, I'm with that one. So you're here temporarily. Have you directed other works here in the United States?
I have, yeah. I've done 2 shows in New York. So I did one in 2017, which was called The Enchantment, and it was a new translation of a Swedish play from the 1880s. And then last year, I was meant to be doing a show off-Broadway called Testament, but because of the pandemic, the stage version got cancelled and we decided to turn it into a piece of filmed theatre at the moment. So that's doing various kind of film and theatre festivals at the moment. But yeah, it was filmed in New York with a New York-based company.
Okay, so you directed stuff in England as well as
Yes.
in the United States.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the two places?
There are lots, and there are also not very many. I don't know. I mean,
Give us one or two.
So probably the biggest difference is the way that stage management works and the way that equity works. So stage management in the UK, in a rehearsal room, the director is in charge, and that comes down, obviously stuff to do with the actors and the text, but also things like when breaks happen and how long they are. Whereas here in the States, the stage manager is in charge of all of that, so you don't have to remember to take breaks, which is good. But yeah, and then that kind of ties into the strength of equity in the US is very different to in the UK, and equity obviously sets very strict rules on breaks. So I'm used to, in a 4.5 hour session, having one 15-minute break in the middle, whereas here it's very much
every 50 minutes.
Every 50 minutes you take a 5, which is very odd to me, but the actors seem to like it.
I'm sure they like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming back to you.
Cool.
Yeah, these two, I call them mine. They're my theater children. I call them my theater. But this one, you know, you have that one child that just tries you at every turn.
I don't even try you. You just make fun of me constantly.
Okay,
That's
questions.
our relationship.
Questions. Okay, so, how long have you been doing theater?
Okay, so I started auditioning for shows at Broadway Little Theater in maybe 4th grade. I'm a senior now. I didn't get into a show till my freshman year, but
You're not bitter at all, are you?
I love Broadway Little Theater. It's
Okay.
great. I still work with them a lot. So, but then I was really active in the theater department at my middle school, Martin Middle School, and I had the best theater teacher. He was great. I was Scar in The Lion King. Great fun.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Sir, how long have you been in theater?
I would say about, like, I started finding my love for theater about 2nd, 3rd-ish grade. I think it all started in a chorus class. And then my drama teacher in elementary school was probably, like, he's one of my favorite people on this earth. Like, that was, I loved him. But then I did my first show in the 5th grade. I think in the 5th grade, yeah. And that was called Press Start. Yeah, that was 5th grade. It was the 5th grade play. And I've kind of just been going on from there.
Okay.
Really.
Well, let me ask you about this particular production. And I'll ask you both the same question, and I'll start with you this time. What was the easiest thing? It's a two-part, and I don't usually do two parts, but what was the easiest thing for you with this production, and what was the hardest?
Easiest thing. I think it would have to be working with my wonderful director. It's just the environment that was like built was very, I guess it was a very passive environment. So I was like a safe environment. So I guess it was just, you know, kind of easy to work around. And like, we just, actually, yeah. It was
Okay.
just easy to work around.
Okay, and the hardest thing?
The hardest thing had to be the improv. The improv had to be the hardest thing. If you know me, you know that I do not like improv. It's probably my least favorite thing. Actually, for me doing it, I like watching it. But like me doing it, I just can't come up with stuff off the top of my head like that. But we had to improv every scene in the show in order to get a feel for the show. So it was a whole lot.
And you, the same question.
Okay.
What was the easiest and what was the hardest?
I think the easiest for me was probably finding my character because I relate to Caroline in a lot of ways, and in a lot of ways we're really different, which can be helpful in a theatrical setting. And I would say this was the hardest, but maybe the newest was the intimacy stuff, because I don't think either of us have ever done anything.
Never worked with an
Yeah.
intimacy director.
Well, speaking about the intimacy stuff, was there someone there to help you get through that?
Yes. Our amazing intimacy director, Jeff.
Okay.
He's
So
great.
that's a great thing because that's
Yes,
not
and I learned so
happening
much.
in theater enough. So and you learn stuff. Okay,
I
great.
feel so knowledgeable now.
Okay. So tell me about this production. Tell me a little about without giving everything away.
So INU takes place over the course of one evening in Caroline's bedroom, and Anthony arrives with homework. Sorry, Anthony, because you're American.
Yay!
Yeah, he arrives with a homework project on Walt Whitman, and Caroline's been out of school for a while because she's unwell, and he arrives to kind of make her do this project with him that is due the next day. And so the play kind of develops over the course of this evening as they get to know each other, as kind of their boundaries start to kind of come down and they become friends and reveal secrets and share thoughts. And then
crazy. You like
Something happens.
All right. And let me give a disclaimer. So you guys saw people behind us and everything. Today is opening day, and there's still some things that have to be done. But y'all know on previews, we keep it real. This is what happens in theater. We're not gonna be faking. We're not gonna put on. This is just the way it is. Things come down to the day, the opening day of the play. And I don't know why this young man said he doesn't like improv, because I think he's great. But we'll let him have that comment. What would this play? I'm trying not to give things away. What would this play was? Oh no, you know what? Let me backtrack and do this.
It's a gross noise.
So thank you. So there are only 2 of you in this play. That's it. This is the whole cast. How did you? And there are no intermissions, and you never leave the stage.
Not at all.
How did you find that, and is that something you've done before? And if not, how did you find doing that? I'll start with you, Laura.
So I have done that before,
Okay.
not with 2 people, but with 1 person, with 100 Words for Snow, which has no intermission or break or anything, and it's a 1-person show, and it's like an hour and a half of. It probably should be like a 2-hour show, but I talked really fast.
It was an hour. When we did it on the West End, it was an hour 25. So
Okay, but see, if I wanted to talk the pace that I wanted to, it
it'd
would
be
be much
half an
longer.
hour. Yeah.
Yes.
So do you find that you prefer doing it this way, or like you and I were in Camelot together, and you and I were in Evita together? Do you prefer a smaller cast like this, or the bigger cast?
I really like a good mixture of both. I love a good intimate theater project. But it's fun to do some big musicals too, even though I'm not the best singer ever. But yes.
So you, sir, is this the first time you've done something with this smaller cast and you being on stage the whole time with no intermission?
This is the smallest cast I've had, because it's a 2-person show. But this is the smallest cast I've had. I think the biggest not the biggest, the closest I've had to this small of a cast had to be a show I did called Men Always Leave. It was, I think, maybe 5-person cast, maybe 6. I can't exactly remember, but it was. This is a different experience for sure. It's a whole lot of words. It's just a whole lot of words.
And that leads me to my next thing. Were you able to and you've done this before with the 1 person, but I can still ask you this. Do you use the same process for learning your lines with a cast this small or by yourself as you would a play with 16, 17 people?
So same process, except I would not do this by myself because it wouldn't work. But I go on voice memos on my iPhone and I record the other person's lines with like spaces in there for my lines, and it works with like big things where you have to interject, and it helps me learn my cues as well as my own lines.
Okay. And your process?
My process is always, I've never done them. Well, actually, I've done it before, but my process has always just been repetition, to be honest. It's always just been that, just saying the lines over and over again. Cues usually kind of stick in my head. Like, I don't usually have to go over them a whole lot. And whenever we're blocking the scene, that's usually when it sticks in my head. But I've always just done repetition, and it wasn't any different for this show. So.
Okay. Have you been on the stage at any time, or just direct?
So I wanted to direct from when I was about 8 years old, but they don't let children direct things. So I did, like, all through school. I acted. I did, studied drama and acted, and then I directed my first play while I was in sixth form, which is like the 2 years before you go to university. So yeah, I directed my first play when I was 17, I think, and since then, like at uni, I was in 1 or 2 small pieces, but apart from that, I was directing pretty much every term. So Yeah.
So when you said Jerry presented this to you, what was your initial thought on this production, and did it turn out like you initially wanted it to?
Ooh. I had heard of the play before because it was on in London in 2017, 2018. I didn't get a chance to see it, but I knew of it. And yeah, so I read it when he sent it to me and just fell in love with it. I think Lauren Gunderson is a genius. I think her way with dialogue is really beautiful. And yeah, I would say, I would really love to work on it. It feels, I've done a lot of two-hander shows before. I've also done a lot of work where the characters are younger, are teenagers. These are the youngest actors that I've ever worked with, but I've worked with characters that are younger. And so I was intrigued in that regard. In terms of whether this production turned out the way that I wanted it to, when I come on board with a play, I very rarely have a solid idea of what I want it to be at the end. I have ideas around an energy or an impulse, or I start thinking visually about things. But I find if you're reaching towards a set goal that you have in place, you will only ever fall short of it, or you'll start thinking smaller because you're like, well, that's the limit, whereas if you don't have that limit in place and you're thinking about the moments and the interpersonal relation and the impulse, then your mind is free to kind of grow and roam and explore. So I'm very happy I'm very happy and very proud with the production that we have.
Mm-hmm.
But want doesn't fit into it in that metric, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yes, it does. It makes a lot of sense. You've already done it. So are you ready to do a one-man play now?
No. Not at all.
No.
I mean, I think I could. It would just be a challenge. I would have to have some time. It just seems like a whole lot of work. Like, this was a lot of work, but it felt like we had time. So
We've got loads of time.
We have so much time.
that's her slogan.
I was going to say, because why did you all of a sudden just go across the water when you said that?
I say that all the time. Yeah, I mean, like, we open in an hour. We still have time. We can still,
Wow, I love that. I love that philosophy because I think the two of you can vouch for this. We don't hear that often.
Not at all.
No, it's like, well, you got an hour. You need to hurry up. Like, I got an hour, Okay, well, tonight is opening night.
Woo.
Any last words before you... Any last words before you actually go on?
Tell my mother I love her.
It was great working with you guys. I'm so happy that we can put this production on today at maximum power, I guess. Let's say that.
Well, and let me ask you this. Okay, so you've done something that I haven't done, which is a two-person play.
Yeah.
Where do you want to go from here? Laura, you first. Well, you've done the single-person play, but where do you want to go
You
from here?
keep calling me Laura, and it's just absolutely not my name.
Laura Lillian, where do you want to go from here?
Just more.
Y'all see what I have to put? You see why I said what I said about this child?
You see what I said about him?
Oof. Please tell me that country is not going to come out when you're performing that. Y'all see what I said about him? Him has one syllable. It's not him.
We're in the South. It's whatever I want it to be.
Okay, go ahead. Where do you want to go from here?
I just want to do
Theater-wise.
more. I want to do theater in college. I want to get into college.
So you're a senior now,
Yes, I am a
right?
senior.
How old are you?
17.
Okay, so what do you want to major in when you go to college?
I want to major in biology with a pre-med track.
Nothing to do with theater at whatsoever. What?
I want to keep doing theater like this, but I don't want it to be like my full-time career because I want to be able to keep it something fun and like an escape as opposed to what I have to do.
I appreciate that because what do you want to do from here with what you gained, the knowledge you gained from this?
I need to get back to my musicals now. I'm just like, no, I'd love to do more straight plays, more anything. This was fun. I liked it. I really enjoyed it. But to say in the future, film, anything, honestly. I'm up for anything.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you. You're kind of not. Wait, how old are you?
15.
15. Okay. And you are what? You're a sophomore.
That's the worst grade.
Stop talking. You're a sophomore. I'm not talking to you.
Oh,
You're a
I'm
sophomore. So when you go to college, what do you want to major in?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I was pushing it a little. Do you want to go to college? And if you do, what do you want to major in?
Yes, I do want to go to college,
Okay.
but major, I haven't completely decided yet.
He's got so much time.
I've got
I
so
know.
much, so
There's
much
time.
time.
There's always time. There's so much time.
I mean, you don't have to know your major till like sophomore year of college.
Please don't wait to learn.
I already told you what I want my major. Okay.
What's next for you?
Various exciting things. So I'm developing a children's show with Tatty, who wrote 100 Words for Snow. That's going to be on in England, and it's an adaptation of a Michael Morpurgo novel. So he was children's laureate. He wrote War Horse, and so we're doing an adaptation of that, which is going to be a children's show with blind and partially sighted actors that works just as well for the audience whether you can see it or not, which I'm really excited about. I think that'll be really, really cool. And then I have 2 things coming up that haven't been announced yet, so I'm not sure I can say, but they're very exciting and very cool. So I'm booked up with stuff until well into next year.
But nothing as cool as this, right?
Obviously,
I mean,
nothing
is
as
the
cool as
best.
this.
Yeah,
Obviously,
I'm
nothing
here,
as cool.
so.
So will we see you again?
I hope so. Apparently I just need to,
Yeah, you just need to tell.
I just need to
you
tell Jerry
if,
and then
you say if to Jerry, and it is gonna happen. So
Yeah.
okay.
No,
Well,
I would love to come back. Yeah.
I have seen the play. You guys need to come see it. It's not just a storyline. These two do a wonderful job of commanding this stage and using every aspect of the stage as they're supposed to. If I didn't know any better, I wouldn't think that they were teenagers. I would think they were grown. So please come see this production. It's running for how long?
Till the 24th.
24th. So is it Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays and Sundays?
Yeah.
Okay, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at what time?
7:30.
7:30.
And Sundays?
2.
2 o'clock. So make sure you come and see I and You. People say I in you, but it's I and you.
I and you. That's a
Stop it. That's a whole different show, and why would you make
You're
me
the
go
one that
there?
said it.
Because you were about to say it. And y'all can see the artistic director is walking behind me. He's in the camera right there.
Oh,
He's just walking,
Jerry.
So please come and see that. It runs for 3 weeks and it ends on the 24th. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, and have a great show. Break somebody's legs, not your own. Not his either. Not his either.
We don't have understudies. Don't break
Right.
each other's
I
legs.
can do both roles.
And the sad part is that's probably true. All right, guys. We will see you on the next preview.